Oh, dude, someone linked me a different video, actually. Someone linked me this. I watched like the first 30 seconds of it and turned it off.
300.
But this has basically no views. Literally 500 views. And here's the start of this. It starts like it's high quality, but I don't know if what this guy's going to say is bullshit or not.
4 attempts. That's what it took for Team Liquid to claim world first on Mythic Dimensius, a boss that pushed the limits of endurance, strategy, and willpower. It was quite an epic showcase. But hold up, this isn't just another recap of who took first place, who took second place, and how dramatic it was. No, we're actually diving deeper. This video is about what it takes to be a professional esports team, where success is dependent on a lot of human factors, data science, and a bit of luck.
So, like, just the intro tells you, this might actually be kind of interesting. It's only 5 minutes long as well. And it could be a bunch of bullshit, but I feel like if he's going to get real sciencey with it, just by his hair alone, he probably knows what he's talking about. I feel like we should at least listen to, like, the first minute of this and see if we get bored.
3 insights backed by science. Let's jump in. To give a bit of context, you guys know that raiding usually requires rapid decision making in super chaotic environments, especially in retail WoW. For any new encounter that you face, your cognitive load peaks, decreasing your ability to perform optimally. Psychologically speaking, there are many ways to tackle this, but to keep the video short, here's a recap of what I noticed during the live streaming sessions of Team Liquid. Team Liquid leveraged this idea of deliberate practice. It's a concept from a psychologist named Regression, based on...
Okay, I'm really interested to see where the fuck he goes with this.
On his research and expertise,
I'm thinking there's like 80% chance he's about to say some bullshit.
He argues that thousands of hours of focused repetition build automated responses. In our case, it means that performance is not about grinding stupidly over and over. It's about having structured training sessions. And these guys had 384 of them.
Okay, I hope he's going to be talking about us sitting around after the poll and talking about how to do better at it instead of just mindlessly pulling it. Because if he's about to talk about us practicing in between tiers, that is completely not true. Like, we basically have no way to practice for this in between races other than like mindless farm. But I mean, I guess you could just say they practice. He calls this deliberate practice. We do this by just having played the game at a high level for many, many years. So naturally, there are some kind of automated responses. But I don't really know exactly how that ties into, like, post-poll conversations.
The more you expose yourself deliberately and not mentally dumb to boss mechanics, you have a good chance to create automated responses, build your reflexes and intuition about the actual battle. With other words, you know what to do without thinking too much about what to do. Yeah,
but that just happens with attempts anyway. I don't think that's something we're deliberately doing. It's just kind of what happens when we do what we would be doing anyway.
Cue from the raid leader and you're good to go. Structured training does two.
Wait, what did he just say?
So 1 cue from the raid leader and you're good to
So 1 cue from the raid leader. Yeah, I guess what used to be 1 cue from the raid leader and sometimes is that, but now is like a little text-to-speech clanker in your ear telling you when everything's happening.
Structured training does 2 things. It increases pattern recognition and it reduces cognitive load during future encounters. So
you could just
recognition.
Okay.
And it reduces cognitive load during future encounters.
Okay, so you can pause this right here. You could just rename this slide "Pulling the Boss." Like, there's no, like, it's just way too fancy with it. Like, it turns out by pulling the boss more, you will gain some kind of pattern recognition and you will be less coggy loaded because you are going to be more familiar with the things you've pulled multiple times. That's just like a crazy smart, trying to sound extra smart way of just like a real basic shit.
Both elements are quite critical to enhancing performance and eventually getting world first. So simply put, you expose yourself to the stress until it diminishes.
All right, what's step 2?
Secondly, they are professionals. They know their class in and out. At this point, it's not a discussion about learning the game. It's about optimizing. I'm sure you guys know this much better than me, but I'm pretty sure professional WoW rating is all about optimizing numbers. Like, when do we push for more damage? When do we stop? For when do we save our cooldowns? I'm quite sure that
he's saying that like kind of weird style, but like, yeah, I mean, like, basically, as simply put, you use your CDs on cooldown in progression until you like see a point of where like, okay, this part's really hard. Okay, let's save some CDs for that. All right, you do it with the CDs. You do it with Lust. Okay, we're good at it now. Let's take Lust off. Let's move some CDs around. Like Nexus King. Nexus King, we had people using 2 minutes on the intermission platforms knowing they wouldn't get it for the burn. Like, we knew right there we were not killing the boss at the end by actually doing that, but it was going to help us see farther in the fight, and then more pulls farther in the fight, familiarity, people get better, damage goes up, you have less deaths. But then eventually we moved those things off. Like, that's true, but that's, you know, I don't know. Let's
These teams use specialized tools to model damage and healing output during their fights. It quickly becomes...
We actually kind of don't. Like, we basically have a few people that are smart, look at logs, and try to find small damage optimizations for everyone. Like, one this tier was we had, I'll give an example. So when we are fighting, I actually have a Warlock POV here, which is good. When we're on the P2 platform, and this first Void Warden is spawning, our Warlocks initially were... Actually, let's go to Pargoth. Our Warlocks initially were actually hitting off of the Void Warden here for a little bit of cleave from their hero talent. But what it meant was that this Void Warden over here, the one that needs to die for the knockback, the one I'm circling with my mouse, needed to die before the knockback, and we were having to swap to it really late. And we were losing overall single target by the Warlocks not just having this be their priority target. So like about 50 or 60 pulls before we killed it, our healing officer actually, Lummel, he was like, I think there's a damage optimization that can be made. And he's like, I'm watching a Warlock POV and they're targeting off the boss here, but if we actually have this specific class Havoc the boss and target off the Void Warden, that ad will be a lot lower. Our boss damage won't change at all. We will still AoE these ads in time, and we'll gain like boss damage by not having to swap. And he was exactly right, and we gained probably about 1.5% to 2% damage on average to these, to Pargoth and Artosian. So like there are optimizations that are made like that, but we don't have like specialized graphs. We have the same thing everyone else has.
It's an optimization problem that requires the usage of data science. Each attempt brings in...
What is it? That seems like this video is meant to address non-WoW viewers that are interested in the race. Yeah, I think so. I think this would probably end up confusing them a little bit because it's just like a little... It's like trying to be more complicated than it is in a way. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against the video. I'm just trying to give some commentary on it from how I see it.
The better they use the data, the faster they can improve their future performance. And you can actually hear this. Max, the raid leader, had multiple mentions.
That's me.
Where he said something like, it's all good. We're just gathering more data. This is what...
What? I don't think I ever said that. When the fuck have I said it's all good, we're just gathering more data? Do I say that? I think what he's referring to is if we're having a wipe, I'll say something like, hey guys, like just keep playing. Reps at this part of the fight are good. Like if we have 5 people dead or something, just keep pulling so we can get some later timers, or which I guess it's just him saying the word data. I've just never said that word verbatim. Like, bro, I would literally never say, yo boys, fucking let's data farm right now. It is literally more data, but it's just, okay, fuck. Yeah, never mind. I'm getting stun locked on the word data, but actually I do say that sometimes, I think. Let's fucking go.
Do. They adopt...
I'm going to start saying that now, though.
Data-driven approaches towards performance. They parse battle logs, they apply regression analysis to...
What does that mean?
Identify who underperforms, and...
Is regression analysis...
Suboptimal rotations.
Is regression analysis like wiping and then going back and looking what caused that and what we could have improved from it? Bot review.
Who underperforms, and who goes maybe through suboptimal rotations. Simply said, teams like Liquid think about rating as an applied science experiment. Lastly, effective teams exhibit something which is named psychological safety. It's a concept introduced by Edmondson. Psychological safety refers to an environment where team members feel secure in taking risks, expressing ideas, and admitting mistakes without fear of blame.
Yeah, actually, yo, low key,
and admitting mistakes without the fear of blame.
This is a huge cook. This is, I remember when we first made the guild and we did not have this. Bro, when people make a mistake and are literally afraid to say it, you actually, just that thing alone probably slows down your efficiency by just such an insane amount. but also knowing that someone can wipe on a pull early on a boss trying something, and that's totally okay. Like that kind of atmosphere, which needs to be present in any guild. This is certainly present in Echo Method, all of those guilds. You couldn't even come close to competing if you didn't have this. But this is something that not a lot of guilds do have, though. Like, you guys are maybe reading this and you're like, I don't know if that like applies to my guild. I've definitely raided in guilds where basically the leader will like immediately go after people that make mistakes. So naturally people are like, I'm not going to say shit when I mess up because I don't want to get yelled at, you know? Or, you know, like if you're the only person saying that you mess up, like 2 players who are in a guild, ignore leadership entirely. One player, they each make the same amount of mistakes, an average amount, but one player always says my bad. The public, like the perception of that person in the guild will be the person who admits their mistakes people will think he's a worse player because you just acknowledge that he messes up more because he actually says something, you know? So like you kind of need everyone to buy into this so you're not the one person saying my B, you know? So this is actually a very good point.
Go back to their videos and listen to their communication during the streams, most of them being sleep deprived and under high stress. They call out errors without blame. They signal observations, they're not pointing fingers. This approach...
Sometimes there's pointing fingers for sure, but only if it is one person directly making a mistake. Like, I think if one person makes a mistake, and it's like something everyone can learn from, we're going to pull it up, we're going to watch it, and I'm going to try to have everyone learn from that same mistake. A boss where this is super relevant is actually Styx. You guys remember Styx from the last tier, the junk ball boss? That was a boss where it could be like 10 or 15 pulls until you actually got the trash ball. So when one person is in the trash ball and I'm watching them and they do something extremely bad, you need to bring it up because it's very likely that other people might make that same mistake because there's a reasonable, like, that person made that mistake for a reason. Is because it's easy to do this. But if you show that mistake, now you don't have to wait till everyone gets in the ball and does the same thing once. You can kind of make sure people know not to do it ahead of time. So it's like crazy value to VOD review. VOD reviewing is good on every boss, but on bosses where there's very hard mechanics that you don't get every pull, it's unbelievably broken because you can just solve problems before people have to learn it themselves. Very, very, very good.
Which builds trust and encourages observation.
But if, okay, here's the difference though. Where the whole like pointing fingers and assigning blame thing is, if you bring that up the first time, that first person who's like getting shown that they're mistake to everyone, no one's mad. Everyone gets it. Now, if I see that same person doing the same thing again or a third time, like we had someone on Demencius, one of the people who was sucking people down during Devours, they were just always in the wrong. Like they were just a little bit off to the right. How Demencius works is you need all 4 people in the shadow circles to actually bring people down. And if one person is like off, they are not coming down. Now it's easy to soak the first one, but the second 2 are a Venn diagram and it's pretty thin. And if you're just like inching to the right, then the left person is going to die. And this was happening constantly and it was only one player doing it. So I watched their POV and I'd be like, I wasn't saying everyone can learn from this. I'm like, look, you specifically need to just inch more left every time. You are compensating to the wrong side because of the way the platform's angled, you always want to be going the other way. And that helped it a little bit. But there's a time to assign blame, for sure. It's just important to know that it's never personal and it's purely for us to get better. But it is possible, even at this level, for one person to be kind of holding everyone back.
They're not pointing fingers. This approach builds trust and encourages collaboration to get towards a common goal. By maintaining this type of environment, they reduce cognitive load and they enable people to focus on the task. And also, they support each other through the individual learning process. Funny enough, I think that at times the chat was much harsher than the actual communication between the team members.
Yeah, because they don't really understand. Like, they just see someone dying and they're like, this person is... You're a sports fan. You're rooting for your team to win. And you're like, God, this fucking person won't stop dying. And you just want the team to do better and you keep seeing someone die. But this happens sometimes without chat even knowing what's going on. Like, for example, I showed this the other day, but Nick on Stone Legion Generals mass dispelled the debuffs and died on purpose 4 times in the encounter. We Ankh Totemed him 3 times and battle resed him once. And throughout the entire 3 or 4 days of progression on that fight, the chat would not stop saying how much Nick was holding us back by dying, and they didn't even know we were doing it on purpose, right? So, like, sometimes chat just doesn't even know what they're talking about, but, I mean, you can't do that. Like even if someone, this does happen, like someone has a bad night, this tier especially, sometimes someone's sick, and even people at the highest level can have a really bad hour, and in a short period of progression, they can absolutely solo run it down and just like +5 to your wipe count purely based on one person. This happens very infrequently, but this happens. And people in chat might be calling it out and being like, wow, this person's running it down, and they're right. But like, what can you do as a guild to stop that? Okay, you can take a break. You can see if that person like hasn't been drinking a lot of water recently. That's actually kind of common, that people just end up getting dehydrated at the end of the day because they're gamers and they just don't think about that. Maybe like whatever, like maybe they're just not feeling well, whatever. You can try to address it, but imagine just being like, hey man, if someone in this guild is running it down and wipes the guild 5 times, and then they know that they're doing that, they're not stupid. They are probably frustrated about it themselves because it turns out they actually don't want to be solo wiping the guild. And you know what's really not going to make it better? Having like a chat reaction to it and being like, hey, just fired up, or whoever, like, you're fucking us right now, man. Like, hey, I don't know if you know this actually, but you're fucking screwing us hard by dying right now. Like, they're going to play so much worse because now they're going to be demoralized and like obviously super tilted or like sad. So like, so there's no world where it would ever make sense to actually do that.
And I'm curious, what was your favorite moment of this battle to world first?
The
I would love to
battle.
hear your thoughts in the comments section
fucking
below.
battle.
To recap,
It kind of was a battle.
Deliberate practice. So they went through the encounter so many times that they're in autopilot mode. They did.
Actually, one of the biggest mistakes you can ever make on a boss, like especially as hard as Dimensius, and say, hey, we've pulled this 350 times. Let's go on autopilot. You'll never get out of P1, by the way.
Strategic preparation. So they started with a plan and they optimized it over and over until they managed to succeed. And then lastly, they were in an environment in which they felt psychological safety.
The first thing just means you pull the boss a lot. The second one is just like you prepare for the raid, whatever. The third one is a very good point, actually. And I think something that isn't talked about a lot that has to be true in a guild that's raiding at a high level. And most guilds, if this was true, and it's not really easy to manufacture this because it's kind of dependent on the personalities of people in your guild and the leadership around you. So many guilds would be more fun to raid in and a lot better if they had number 3 being true in their guild. But I mean, you just can't manufacture it. It's like if you have a raid leader and he's the leader of your guild and the GM or whatever, and that person has a habit of getting really mad when people mess up and calling them out on it, and everyone's afraid to admit mistakes, that's like unsolvable. That raid leader isn't going to change their personality. They're probably just not really fit for leadership, and they're the only one willing to do it, and that guild's either going to die or just always be like that. Literally nothing you can do about it, other than go to a new guild.
They didn't get blamed if they made mistakes. So next time we're all watching a battle to world first, remember these guys are professionals playing an optimization game and pushing human limits to the maximum. Anyways,
yo, another shout out.
Is full of psychology.
That's actually kind of a nice. That was kind of a nice video. I good content. Definitely a good enough video to have more than 500 views for sure. W. I'll give it a little thumbs up too. Fuck it.